Lots of people ask me around footwear and their insertional Achilles. Now, a lot of the time, people actually have the wrong diagnosis because there's two important differentials at the base of the heel. There is the insertion of the Achilles, what we call an insertional Achilles tendinopathy, where the fibers come down and insert onto the back of the calcaneus. But on the outside of that, you've got a really important bursa, and we call that your subcutaneous bursa, and it's very, very close to the skin. So when we think of a heel canter from a shoe, that can sometimes rub and irritate, and the force that we call it is shear force, and sometimes that can irritate the bursa and the Achilles, and it can present and get treated like a tendon, but all it really needs is a bit of an offload. I'm going to show you how to do that, and it can really help. So really simply, we only need a couple of things. So we need a little bit of felt, and we can get some anti-shear blister pads as well. So when that rubs with the outer surface of the skin, whatever the object is, it's just going to move a little bit freer. So if this is representing the bursa, it's not going to get caught and as much friction or shear, and the padding isn't going to increase the surface area on either side. So if I cut some little channels, just like this, so that's where the bursa is, padding and padding, that's going to increase the surface area on either side and take some pressure off there. So really, really easy to do. So I'm going to get the camera down here. So how we're going to do that is we're going to measure in through the side of the shoe. So we're going to take a little bit off there. So that's going to be on the inside, on the outside. Now, as simple as having an adhesive on the back, and I might actually make that just a little bit thinner, a bit harder once it's sticky. So that's where the area of irritation is going to be. That's where that posterior part of the calcaneus or rear foot bone is going to sit. So I'm going to go on that side. Very good. But it's going to be increasing the pressure on either side, and that's going to reduce the pressure in there where we do it up. And if there's a little bit of this felt material on there, that's okay. That's a lot softer and nicer and a lot squishier than what this firmer heel counter is. So I'm going to use an anti-shear pad, and that's going to sit in between. So it does have to be quite thin. I'm going to cut that either side. So I think that's going to come apart. That's going to come apart, and that pad is going to sit in through the middle. So I can move that out a little bit to give it a little bit more room. And it's really easy to manipulate. You just got to be careful that when you slide your foot in, you got the finger on either side. Should be a little bit wider, and that's where that pad is going to sit. Just like that. So that's going to be pushed down. So I've got anti-shear, where the burst is going to be, which will represent my finger, and padding on either side. So just careful to load in and put down. Now, if you're feeling like you're pretty good with scissors, you can bevel the bottom end and make it a little bit less, but otherwise it should come up just to the end, so you're taking off all that pressure.
It's, of course, great to be able to make all these changes in shoe, but of course, it's probably easier if they have it to just make the change to the actual shoe itself. And I've got 4 examples to show you. I'm going to show you the first example, which is definitely the best. So, Mizuno Neo Vista, again, it doesn't matter about the specific brand or the type of shoe. It just matters about the features, and we know this with any kind of footwear prescription. So if you have a look at the outside of this shoe, and if you've ever felt this shoe, you'll know what I'm saying. It's really, really stretchy. So I've put my hand in through here into the upper. It's really, really quite stretchy. So that means, let's put my hand in there so you can see my hand coming up. So not a lot of shoes will do that. So if I know someone's got some trouble at the back here, this is really flexible. There's plenty of room. It comes up quite high, so I can fit a fair amount in there. It's relatively rocketed as well, which is going to help unload the Achilles. But we're thinking purely pressure and shear. So if I was to pad that, it's going to work really well. I know it's not going to have a lot of force to irritate on the back of the heel. You know, if we compare that to something like this, and this is the older version of the New Balance 1080, but it's got a relatively okay shaped heel counter, but that's relatively firm. And I found with this shoe, and I've had, I think this is the 12, I had the V10 as well, the inside of the counter, they've got a hard plastic, and it's just used to break quite easily. And I'm actually feeling there, you might be able to see it on camera, actually quite deformed, and it's just a hard bit of plastic. So that could rub, it could pinch the skin, it could irritate. So not a great heel counter. It's not too bad in the shape, but again, that pressure isn't going to be well tolerated. Now compare that to Novablast 5 from ASIC. It's really nice and padded. I'm sure you can see that thickness in through there. That's really soft, and there's plenty of almost foam before this firm heel counter. So you're probably looking at, maybe 5 or 6 mil of pure nice cushion that the heel and the bursa can push back against. And you remember we spoke about if someone's got a thickened part like a Haglund, thickened bone, thickened tendon, combination of both of them, they're going to push back into that nice bit of cushion and then still have the heel counter provide some stability. And then we have the Mizuno Neo Vista as well. So this is almost like the Vaporfly 3, which you would have saw in the video before. It doesn't have anything on the inside. It's pretty abrasive on the outside, but especially on the inside. So that gives us plenty of room to pad. The little strap that comes up means we've got a little bit more room in through there. But all 4 of these shoes are going to have different influence over that part of the heel, and you can probably gauge that from someone's history. And of course, that far trumps everything. If someone says, I run in this shoe and I always feel better, well then whatever the features are, it probably doesn't matter, because something about that shoe, whether we can work it out or not, helps them. But in theory, if someone's really stuck and we're trying to work out, those are the features that we're looking for. So padded on the inside, not too thin, plenty of stretch ability, and also if it's got a little bit of room, that's an extra bonus because you can fit more in there and pad around the side.